When I started out my farm, I wish I knew these 5 things. Now, I'm currently seated on my farm, and 6 years ago, I started farming on a small plot of land, on my dad's land. It was about 1/3 of an acre, and my dad let me build a chicken house on his farm, and I literally put that chicken house right in front of his house. Thank God he let me do that. Now, 6 years later, I've been able to increase or grow that farm by a factor of 15. What that means is that I started with 750 birds, well, let's say 800 with the bonus birds that I got, and currently, 6 years later, I have 12,000 birds on this farm. If I knew these 5 things that currently I wish I knew back then, I can guarantee you that I would certainly have grown even much quicker. I'd probably have grown maybe 20-fold or 30-fold. And 15 times growth in 6 years is crazy. What that means is that on average, you're growing 2.5 times every year. That's really crazy, that's amazing. And just imagine what that would do for your farm if only you can implement these things. Now we'll go through them. First thing is that no one has an idea what the hell they are doing. It's quite interesting. You see, when I started out, I thought that the people who had been in poultry farming for a while had figured out this thing. Yeah, the people who had been farming for a while and they've been trading for a while, they've been raising chickens for a while, have figured out this thing. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos, I went and visited a lot of people's farms. The first thing that I noticed very early on is that there was a lot of contradictory information. So while you're on YouTube, one person is telling you this, another is telling you this, they're in the same country, and one person is telling you another vaccination plan, another is telling you another vaccination schedule, and you're like, now which one works? When it does come to feeding, someone is telling you another method of feeding, and everyone is telling you something different. So I was like, how is this possible? But then I was like, there should certainly be a way. It can't be that, 5 or 16 different ways all work the same way and give you good results. Yeah, there should certainly be a way. That's what I honestly thought. Yeah. And then as I moved on, I started visiting people's farms, and I would say that the things they're implementing are quite different. And then I remember when I started my farm myself, I started making some YouTube videos about, how to start a farm and how to build a farm. And at that time, because I had just started out and I was sharing my experience, but also a lot of what I had read and the information that I had come across, a lot of people would comment on the videos, or I would see people sharing on other platforms saying that, hey, the information I'm sharing is wrong. What I'm talking about doesn't work. It will never work, or things like that. Now, fast forward 6 years later, I've been able to grow my farm 15 times using that information. And now that I look back at a lot of the information that I had then from a lot of those people, a lot of it was crappy. Those guys didn't know what they were doing. Now, a lot of them still implement it right up to now, but they didn't know what they are doing. And I'm thinking to myself, they were saying that the information I was spreading was wrong. But when I look at them, a lot of the things that they were actually utilizing don't work. I'll give you a quick example. Currently, I have a flock of birds on the farm that's 96 weeks old. 96. Just fathom that, yeah? And at 96 weeks old, these birds are giving me between, 72, 73, up to 75% in terms of production. Now, I want to tell you that a lot of farmers actually never even get to 75% of production, even at peak, from my experience. Because currently, I've been, dealing in day-old chicks, so I get to interact with a lot of farmers. Also because of the trainings that I do, the Farm Up Academy. Meanwhile, if you want to join the Farm Up Academy, you can join using the link in the description below. Just check it out. Yeah. So for people who are in the Farm Up Academy, and a lot of them do join because they've had terrible experiences in the past, or their experiences are not the best, then they do join the Farm Up Academy. When I check them out and the information that they have had, and the growth rates that they have been having, the egg production rates, if it's layers, a lot of them are struggling to even just do 75%. Yeah. A lot of the so-called farmers who know stuff, who thought that they know stuff, can barely get to 80-85% production. I'm doing 95%, 94% in a deep litter system. Yeah. And I remember when I was starting out, people were telling me that, hey, if you're doing deep litter system, if you're not doing cages, the system will never work. Currently, I have 12,000 birds on the farm, and up to now, people still tell me that, hey, Dr. Daniel, I think you need to do cages. Cages is what works, and things like that. I'm like, well, my system is also working. Now, of course, cages means that I would probably utilize less space. Everything would be a bit more mechanized. But yeah, this is certainly much cheaper for me to run, or at least to start out at the beginning, and it's able to give me comparable results, if not better. So I want to tell you that no one has an idea what they're doing. So if you're seated there and you're thinking to yourself, hey, I want to start a farm and I don't know what to do, I need to be an expert, I need to have everything figured out. No, you don't need to have everything figured out. You need to get basic information to start, the right information. Now, of course, I'll be honest with you, yeah? If you get the correct information, because there's a thing as correct information. There's a thing as the best information, yeah? Like I've told you guys, my birds are doing 94, 95% in terms of production. Now, if someone else's birds are not doing 95% and probably they're doing 85% and that's the best that they are doing, if you get the kind of information that I'm utilizing to get to 95%, then you can guarantee that, you know, you would certainly make more money. I'll tell you that a 10% increase in terms of egg production is actually such a huge difference, yeah? So the more information you know, the better. But the other thing that I want to tell you is that even with where I am, even with the 95% production, even with everything that's happening on the farm, I'm still learning. There's still a lot that I'm learning and implementing and gathering, yeah, that I'm going to be utilizing on the farm. So what you need to understand is that most people just don't know what the hell they're doing. And I mean, just go outside there, yeah, just learn, keep learning every day. And this doesn't only apply to poultry farming, it applies to all forms of farming. You know, whether it's goats, whether it's cattle, whether it's all these things. Most people have no idea what they're doing. I'm not a vet doctor. I'm a human doctor, and I spent most of my childhood growing up in school as a student and and things like that. That means I've only spent 6 years of my life looking after poultry. There are people who went to school and studied vet medicine. They have been practicing for a long time, and I can guarantee you that I can manage poultry and treat chickens more than the biggest percentage of them. Why? Simply because of this curiosity, this desire to keep learning. Yeah? So, yeah, no one knows what they are doing. Second thing is that passion doesn't matter. I'm the kind of person who, when I started out poultry farming, a few months in, I used to talk a lot about passion. And I'll be honest with you, it's a good thing. It's really important that someone is passionate about something. But it's a misnomer, or it's a bad thing when people actually think that you must be passionate for you to be successful. I want to be honest with you. When I started out with the farm, I had completely no passion about poultry farming. Right now, I have a lot of passion about farming. I enjoy it. I mean, look at what it has given me, yeah? I'm sitting over here. You guys can see my scooter back there in the distance. I have my house right here. I mean, I can sit in a beautiful green place over here and talk over the camera and not be worried that I'm not going to eat food tomorrow. You can see the poultry houses, one of the chicken houses right there in the distance, yeah? So there's a lot that it has done for me. So I have all reason to be passionate about it. But when I started out, I wasn't passionate. I was only focused. I was only interested. I only had the desire to do the thing that I wanted to do. And that's what I want to tell you. Passion is overrated. When you're starting out, you don't need passion. You need desire, you need focus. You see, the thing about passion is that a lot of people overexalt the importance of passion. But I have to tell you something. Do you think you can be less or unpassionate about something that actually makes you money? I want to tell you something. When I started out farming, I didn't grow up in a farming family. I didn't grow up in a farming background. I was born and raised in the city. I spent all my years in the young age living in the city, going to school and things like that. In fact, until I finished university, I hadn't practiced any form of farming at all. Actually, until I personally started a farm, I didn't have any sensible exposure to farming. I only started farming because I thought at that particular point, it was the best possible business for me to start. I mean, I went and downloaded a book from Amazon about starting businesses in Africa, and I read this book. And from that book, one of the ideas was farming. So, I mean, in such a random way, that's how I managed to come up with this idea of farming. And then after I got this idea, I started, practicing it and reading it about it as much as possible, and, practicing it in my brain and all these things. And then finally, I managed to start a farm. When I started a farm, at the beginning, it was not easy. It was actually quite stressing. But after I started making me money, I became passionate about it, yeah? That's the same thing. A lot of you guys, you sit down and you think to yourself, well, I think farming is not my thing, yeah? Can I do farming? No way, I can't do farming. Farming is not my thing. How do I do farming when farming is not my thing? Yeah. And I believe that's the wrong thing. And I mean, this message gets passed around a lot. And a lot of times I hear people talking about it and they're like, no, you can't do farming if you're not passionate about it. If you can't do, I'm like, what do you mean if you're not passionate about it? You only need to be passionate about making money. As long as you're passionate about making money, then you'll develop the right discipline to implement the things that ensure that the farm is successful. So that's ensuring that you're consistently present at the farm as often as possible, vaccinating the animals if it's a farm, giving the business the attention that it requires. I mean, farming is just like any other business. If you treat it and run it like a business, then it's going to give you the correct results that you do require, yeah? So you don't need passion starting out. All you need is discipline. All you need is focus starting out. If you do have those things, then I can guarantee you that you're going to actually succeed at your farm. Third thing I wish I knew is that training others is key. Training other people is important. You see, as the farm grows, you're going to need other people. You can't do everything yourself. The thing about farming is that it's one of the most labor-intensive kinds of businesses you can start. Yeah, there are very few other types of businesses that are as labor intensive as farms. Yeah, and even with machinery and mechanization that's coming up recently, you still need, people to run it. A lot of times you still need a lot of people. And then if your farm is not as mechanized or as developed, especially when you're starting out, then you're even going to need way more people. One common thing that I hear a lot is that, if you're not present on your farm, if you're not available for your farm cannot thrive, your farm cannot succeed, you're going to fail. Yeah, and yeah, it's true. That is said quite common, it's said quite often, but it's not always the truth. Yeah, it's not like assured that if you are not present at the farm is not going to thrive. What you need to do is that you need to make sure that you train other people to ensure that if you're not present at the farm, or even if you're present at the farm, you can focus on doing other things. Look at me, I'm seated right here recording a YouTube video. I had been absent from the farm, I think for 2 weeks right now, and I'm now just back to the farm. I'm probably going to spend maybe 3 or 4 days, and then I'll step away, and then I probably won't be back for another week or 2 weeks or a month. I have no idea, and I'm going to be certain that the farm is going to be running well. And that's not a one-off. A lot of people feel like, my farm is a one-off, but I know a lot of other people who are doing it. I know other people who have tried it and it has failed, and other people who are doing it. And I can guarantee you, the one thing that the people who have figured it out actually have over those who haven't figured out is people. Yeah, training people, getting the right people to be in charge. You need to make sure that you train and get the right people to be in charge. If you get the right people to be in charge, then you can guarantee that the farm is going to succeed. Yeah, so don't have all the information yourself. Yeah, make sure that when you get the information, you have other people to pass it on, and those people pass it on to the lower people. Everyone on the farm needs to be as knowledgeable as possible about, the things that are in their sphere of influence. The worst thing that usually happens for a lot of people is that when they get on farms or when they start running farms, they become very with information. They don't want to share information with others, and I'll tell you why. The main reason is because they feel like if they share the information with others, then those other people are going to have knowledge or power over them. Yeah, they won't have power over them. And yeah, it's true, knowledge is power, but knowledge is power for you to succeed, not power for you to fail. If people have power, they're going to feel empowered. If people have knowledge, they're going to feel empowered. They're going to feel like, they have a way more in control. And you can step away from the farm and be comfortable that people are actually going to make the right decisions on the farm because they just know what to do. Yeah, very, very important. So make sure that you train other people to ensure that if you're absent, the correct decisions can be made. Because the main reason a lot of people's farms fail is because things actually go haywire in their absentia. Number 4 is that find the closest market to where you are. I remember when I started producing my eggs on the farm, I remember that I was looking for where to sell the eggs in really far away distances. Where my farm is, 1 kilometer away is like the trading center, the closest trading center. And right now in that trading center, I'm able to sell like 30-40% of everything that I produce. I can sell right now. What that means is that initially when I started out with my 800 chickens, probably at that point I was producing like 20-something trays a day. I can guarantee you that I could have sold everything that I was producing in that area without needing to go anywhere else, without needing to go far. But here I was looking for market really far away because I felt like, I need to look for the market far away. First of all, I don't think it's possible for me to sell my stuff close by. But secondly, I think I might make losses. Yeah, or I don't know what I was thinking. I completely have no idea what I was thinking. And that's the most common thing with a lot of other farmers. They have no idea what the hell they are doing. Yeah. So I meet a lot of people who want to, start farms. Maybe they want to start rearing goats and things like that. And they want to export goats. They want to sell them in markets outside Uganda when the market for goats in Uganda is crazy. You can never finish it. I'm like, why the hell are you wasting your time? Why are you focusing on other things when you could easily focus on your market? When you could easily focus on the people who are close by to you. Yeah, you need to make sure that you spend as much time as possible focusing on the closest market to you. Focusing on the closest market to you simply means that, number one, the people around you are going to have some form of bond, some form of association with you, and they're going to feel that form of intimacy because, you're probably from the same area. They're like, oh, we have a poultry farm close to us. Oh, we have a goat farm close to us. Oh, we have a cattle farm where we can get milk close to us. They want to feel some form of loyalty, and they're more likely to buy from you. So it creates that form of intimacy. But number two, you don't waste a lot of time and expenses trying to take your products far away. Yeah, so your product most likely won't get spoiled, whether it's milk, whether it's eggs, whether it's chicken meat, all those things. The closer it is, the better. Number two, your amount of money you're going to spend on expenses trying to take it far away is going to be reduced. And also the stress having to deal with authorities, exporting and all this kind of stuff, all a waste of time. So focus on selling and exhausting the local market. Once you can finish the local market, then you can start stressing about selling your product far away. As long as you haven't exhausted the local market, hey, you're wasting time trying to focus on selling stuff far away. So focus on your local market, focus on what is close by before you can think about, going far away. Yeah, I wish I knew this earlier on. It would have saved me a lot of stress. So much stress. I mean, I spent too much time trying to look for market in the wrongest areas. If only I'd thought about, what was close to me. And finally, number 5 is focus on the one thing that works. One, like this. I mean, the more you focus, the more likely it is that you're going to grow. Yeah. Now, when I started out, I didn't know this. I mean, you guys do remember that when I started out, I had chickens. At that time, I also did some dual-purpose chickens. Well, that was for my dad. I did some local chickens. I also got some geese. I got some guinea fowls. I had some turkeys, actually. Up to now, I still do have turkeys, but in another location. Yeah, I wanted to do a lot of things. Now, I was, again, a bit more focused than a lot of other people because I was still only mainly focusing on poultry. But I wanted to do all kinds of poultry. And that was the wrongest thing that you can do. I want to tell you that the best return on your hard work and your investment is actually going to be on you focusing on one thing. Personally, I've laid most of my focus on poultry. First it was layers and then breeders, and those are the two things that I'm focusing on. Now currently I'm going a little bit more out. I'm doing some goats and sheep on the side and things like that. And honestly, right now, I can afford to do that. Yeah, I can guarantee you that I can afford to do that. When I started out, I couldn't afford to do that because I had to make sure that I do have the money to start and grow the farm and make money from the farm. But right now, I'm doing goats. I have about 70 goats or so on a smaller farm somewhere, about 18 acres. And I mean, right now I have staff that I pay every month and I don't get anything out of that goat farm. I mean, it's been over a year that the farm has been there. I don't get anything out. I pay people every month. I'm consistently getting in new animals. I'm, clearing the place, planting grasses and things like that. I'm investing money into it and I'm not getting anything out because, I mean, currently compared to what I can get from the poultry farm, it's negligible. So I can actually get some money from here and diverge it into that. And with time, I know that I'll be able to get money out of it. So that lack of focus, that lack of attention right now, for me, pays. Yeah, I mean, it's worth it because I'm now de-risking by going into something else, but without worrying that, with this poultry farm going to work out, I'm not going to be able to make money out of it and all this kind of stuff. If I had made that mistake starting out, most probably I wouldn't be, at the point that I am right now. So you need to make sure that you focus as much as possible. Pay your attention on one thing, yeah? Don't put your eggs in different baskets. Put all your eggs in one basket. I understand. Biggest thought is that, hey, what if the eggs break? What if the farm fails and everything is in one thing? Well, it will fail, but I mean, the likelihood that it's going to fail is honestly very low, yeah? Think about all the things that we worry about every day and we think that all those things are going to fail. Think about all the bad things that you think every day that could happen. How many of them actually do happen? Very few of them happen. So focus on one thing and you're more likely going to thrive. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.